Another question, this one's from TikTok from Shay All Day. She's currently riding the recomp train, was asking how long one can reasonably expect to simultaneously build and lose before considering a dedicated bulk or cut. It's your mileage may vary.
Yeah. That's like the disclaimer at
First,
the beginning before we answer this question.
I feel like anytime I talk about doing a body recomp, your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
Because the law of individual differences, and we're going to talk more about we're going to talk about the laws of training. That's going to be an entire we're going to get real nerdy about training soon, because it's stuff that personal trainers learn when we get certified, but it's really useful if you work out. So we want to make it palatable and useful for normal people that just want to work out and not get hurt. So we're going to talk about the laws of training, but the law of individual differences basically says that you are unique chemically, physiologically, and your body might not do the same thing that my body does. So as a personal trainer, I am not to expect that your body will do the same thing that my body does or that Sasha's body does. Sasha and I are built kind of the same, but we look very different, even though we eat a lot of the same foods and do a lot of the same workouts.
The goal of a personal trainer isn't to get you, it is to get you to a certain point, but it's not to have you do things that you don't know how to do or are incapable of doing at the time. The goal of a trainer is to meet you where you're at and build upon that.
Yeah, my goal is not to make you miserable. My goal is to help you enjoy the process so that you get hooked on it and want to keep doing it, because you will like it after it stops sucking. It's just my responsibility to get you through the suckiest parts.
Yeah. To answer your question about how long you can reasonably expect to simultaneously build muscle and lose, the caveat or the disclaimer we've already said, but when the scale stops moving. If the scale isn't moving within a weight range, everyone has a weight range, by the way. And it can be within
5 to 10 pounds per 24-hour period.
Yeah. So keep that in mind when you're staring at the scale all the time. That's why we ask you not to.
And this is why we also say, if you're going to weigh yourself, do it 2 weeks apart, because 2 weeks allows your body to have those recomp changes. That's an adequate amount of time for your body to adapt, but also because we want you to weigh at the same time, because your body weight does change throughout the day. I mean, think about it. You want to be weighing yourself after you fire off your first dookie of the day.
Yeah.
So you're at your lightest then, because you're probably a little dehydrated because you slept for 8 to 10 hours, hopefully. Not because you're drunk or hungover. That's the worst
quality
kind of dehydration.
sleep.
Yeah, you got good sleep. But you don't want to eat and then weigh yourself, because you're going to have that extra weight.
You don't want to weigh yourself at the end of the day either, because you could have been stressed out that day. You could have eaten in excess of salt that day. Weigh yourself in the morning after you take a shit.
That's always the best way to get a baseline.
But then when there aren't any noticeable measurement changes, so if you're doing your measurements, once a month and it hasn't really changed since the last month, then you probably need to look at reassessing your macros or however you're tracking your caloric intake. And then reassessing adding or taking away.
And when we say measurement changes, we're talking about actual body measurement changes, not scale measurement changes. Because the scale doesn't account for a lot of stuff that your body does. That number does not define what is happening chemically or, physiologically in your body.